Today's session, we're going to be looking at how to create a project or a tool in Kobo. In my previous video on how to create a Kobo account, there are 3 questions that were asked. And in today's session, we're going to be answering those 3 questions. But before we answer those questions, we want to practically demonstrate how we create a project in Kobo. One of the unique features of Kobo Toolbox is that it gets easier to create a project or a tool as a beginner. In order for you to be able to create a tool or a project in Kobo, you would then have to ask yourself, what kind of tool are you creating? Is it a qualitative response tool or a quantitative tool? Of course, basically, you understand when we say quantitative, these are limited, specific, short, close-ended questions, type of questionnaire. Like when you ask, what is your name? The person just gets to say their names. Do you like this? Yes or no? These are quant. Or things that has to do with figures, something that can be counted. These are quant. But when you talk about qualitative, that question that says, tell me about how you feel. These are descriptive, something that has to do with something you have to explain a lot about. So you would then have to know exactly what kind of tool you are building. How the tool will look like is something you should have had a picture for before you get to do what I'm about to do. In today's demonstration, I'll be using a tool called a profiling tool. Actually, it is a tool that is used by an organization called GAPS to profile their staff upon entering into the organization fresh. Kobo does have 4 different options when creating a project or a tool. If you want to create a new project, as this account is very new, there is a blue button that is being seen here and it has the word new on it. It actually allows you to build projects from a start, or it takes from a renowned template that is known, or you could build from Excel, that's a CSV version or the XLS version, and then you are able to bring here. Let's click and see where it takes us to. When you click that, it will take you to something like this. 4 different options, as I said. You would then have to select which of the options you want to use. This is to upload a tool you've already developed in Excel. This one is also to import from somebody's URL or wherever it has been posted. Maybe it's built on Google to just create the link and connect it to Kobo so that Kobo also can capture the data that's been the tool that has been created there. This is to us to use a template that is well known, and it's an option for you to build from scratch. And from scratch means we are starting it from 001 to wherever we want to take it to. So again, the name of the tool here that we want to deal with today is called Staff Profiling Tool. Because when you click on the tool, it will then ask you firstly to profile, to talk something, describe what kind of tools you want to create. So I'll be pasting the name of that tool here by saying, this is the name of the tool. Description is, there's an instruction in the tool that will go and copy the instruction that says, this form is built for staff and blah, 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 blah. Copy this also and paste it in as the description of the tool. It is very important for us to be doing that because it helps to tell us what's the tool. It helps to tell other people what's the tool about by just previewing the name of the tool. We then select the sector at which this tool is. For example, this account was created in multiple cluster, humanitarian multiple cluster. And then the country where this is coming from is Sierra Leone, so I get to select it again. I like to check on this to let Kobo know that I'm open for sharing, to learning, and also improving on things that are coming. That is why we tick on this box. You click on creating the projects. It then takes you to this, meaning it is then ready. Your project is now ready to be created. Your project has already been created, but it's now ready to be filled in with the questions and how you want it to appear. It is a blank form, blank project. Nothing is on it. So let's get started. Basically, for the sake of time, we will be copying and pasting to make things faster. It says, what are the first thing I would like to appear is personal information. I'll have to copy this personal information to tell whoever will be answering this to know that what you are about to see, the questions you are about to see are on personal. How do we get this? Click on this plus sign, paste, click, as I said, I'll be copying and pasting, paste on. If for order for us to be, because this is not a question that I want person to answer, I will just, it's a notice that I'll be sending to somebody to see that the below question that you're about to see as a personal information that will be requesting from. How do we collect, how do we ensure it appears as a notice? We click on the sign to then tell Kobo what kind of response is this, how this wants this to appear. I want this to appear as a note, meaning nothing, I don't need any response to it. It will just appear when the person click on the tool, you get to see personal information. Let's go and add all the questions under personal information. We click on the tool again, and now that it's appeared, the first question says name of the person, name of the volunteer, somebody who is in. We copy this. As it's shown there, it is this type of questions is asking for somebody to type in the name. We will then be selecting the option that says text ABC, meaning you've already asked that somebody be able to type. You're giving the permission for somebody to be able to type their name. We continue gender. Here, the person is supposed to select whether he's a male or a female. Also, we get to the question area and paste the question gender. Instead of us to be selecting text, we'll go to select one, meaning it's either the person is a male or a female. Then I'll then allow me to type male or female. Add on another questions and so on. Here, the other questions is village, meaning they are supposed to type in the village. Paste it. For enable us to type, we will then have to press text, just as it was done for the name of the person. We then go to the other questions. I will have to skip these other questions because it's basically the same thing as in the case of the name and so on. I will just select the telephone number because this is different. It's asking us to select to add a response for be in numbers. How do I do that? You paste telephone number and then you select the option numbers, meaning the response must be in number. Let's continue to the sake of time. I would want to keep this short. I'll jump to educational level. Educational level, we will then get to select one. Also, this has been done before, as in the case of the male and the female, so we are not using this, but probably we'll be using date of birth. We would want people to select the date of birth. How do we do it? Paste on the questions that says date of birth. There are several ways of doing it. We can then select a calendar wherein the person will have to, or we can just leave it to be a number. But here we'll select a calendar, so when it appears, the individual will get to select at what appropriate time and month the individual was born. We'll select another questions for the. We'll try to select things that gives us something new, different from what we've been doing. Let's go to a questions wherein we would have to select one or two options. Brilliant. What is your expectation? This is a questions that will allow us to select. We want the respondents to select one or multiple questions on what is your. So we click on those questions as we've been doing. We go back to the Kobo account, paste the question, and then we want to bring forward the options of multiple questions. So in order for us to select a multiple options, we select many. Here, the individual who is responding to this question gets to select one or more options. Let's bring in the options. To support community is one. We can cut on this. Paste here. 2 is to gain more experience. Paste here. Let's just make it a 3 option for the sake of time. You just click on this to add more option. Let's just say other. And if you watch in the paper tool, if somebody selects other, we should be able to give them the options when other to be able to say, put specifically what's other. So we are going to say if other, please specify. But again, this is a text we would want to leave. But again, there is something unique we want here. Only when somebody selects other in these previous questions should this appear. In order for us to do that, it's called a skip logic. We'll press on the setting of that question, goes to the skip logic, and then add a condition. We can then select on the questions that we've previously typed by clicking here, so the questions can appear. Wait on it. There are the questions. And the last question was, what is your expectation? And here I would want when it's other, this will only, as the statement said, these questions will only be displayed if the following condition apply. That when this question asks and it's selected other, will this be applied? We've already put that pattern, that logics into it, and it's the tool gets to behave like this. Let's preview on how the tool looks like. For an example, let's hold it there and preview how will this tool look like. So now we are previewing on how the tool looks like. Just as it was said, the name of the tool appears here, staff profiling tool. You see how it appears. Name of the volunteer, the person gets to gender, you get to select one. It will not allow you to select more than one. You'll be able to select only one, as the case may be, the name of the village, telephone number. And when it comes to date, you have to, when you select here, calendar will appear, wherein you have to select the year and so on and so forth. What's your expectation? In this question, we can select even if we want all, and then see what happens when we select other. As soon as we select other, the questions appear, if other, and then so on. So here, that is how we get to create the tool. But there are a few questions that I was asked in my previous video that are yet to be answered. Now, how do I ensure what I've just built is able to be seen in tablets and phones? That's the most important side of things. Before we go to that, we need to save this project. And before you are able to see this project is already saved, the only way we'll be able to see this tool into any tablet or phone, we need to deploy this tool. How do we deploy it? You can click on it like this and it appears and says deployed, meaning once you deploy this tool, it is now ready to receive data. You've just allowed Kobo to be able to create, anybody who is having the URL to this account to be able to deploy and to be able to submit. So now let's get to the side of how can we connect this into a tablet or into other devices. I'll start by showing how can I send somebody the URL and the person gets to input it online. It is very easy. As it is, the tool is already online and offline, multiple submission. If you want to send to somebody the URL for them to collect the data online, it is simple as saying open, pressing this open here. It takes you to the form on an online version. You can then, instead of us waiting until the form itself display, we can copy this link and share it with anybody we want, where once the person click on this link, the person gets to be able to use this tool online. How do we connect this to a phone, or how do we connect this to a computer or a laptop? Simple. If you share with anybody for the online version, if you share with anybody this URL that's on top of here, when you click on this open, it takes you to here. It allows the individual to input this online. I'm using my own mobile phone, which is an Android phone, to demonstrate on how the tool we've just created, I get to connect it to my phone, or be it a tablet or whatever device you'll be using, irrespective of the operating system that's running through the phone. Firstly, you have to look for, if you've not had the Kobo account, you need to go to your store, be it Apple Store or Android Google Play Store, and download the app. Where once you download the app, it then becomes very easy for you to, by clicking on the app, and it appears like this one. I already have the app on my phone, and I am connecting this to the account we've just created. Connecting this to the account we just created is there are 3 dots at the top right hand corner. As you've all seen, you need to hit that and press on General Setting. We go on General Setting. In General Setting, I go under Server. This is where I get to configure what the URL. So configuring the URL is when you open the server on the default, once the Kobo app is downloaded, this is the default URL that is into it. If you want to connect this app and your Kobo account that you have, you would have to change this URL. We are changing this URL. Don't forget, in my previous video, I said this is a humanitarian one. So you will leave all of those. You have to spell humanitarian response as I say, I am using a humanitarian version of Kobo and not the KF version. For you here, it should be https :/kc.humanitarianresponse.info and then /. It could be the name of your account. Once you add the name of your account here, this gets connected with whatever account you have. Any mistake or alterance to this will not get you what you want, will not be able to connect this app and your account. Be very sure about it and be very careful so that you don't make any mistake. If there is even a mistake by not putting the dots in the rightful place, could not get you what you want. Now that we've inputted the URL, we now proceed to get in the form. Now that we've inputted the URL, it becomes easy for us for this app to communicate with our account and whatever is in it. We can then select Get Blank Form to see what's into our account by clicking here. Again, I will need to explain this clearly. If there's one mistake or letter mistake by the spelling of the name, or there's a space in between, it would give you an error. It has been very easy for me because the name I spelled, the account name and the humanitarian response I put, all of them has no space in it and all of them were correct. So now you get to see there's only one form in my account and the form name is staff profiling, and that was a tool we created. You can just press get selected and then so it can get to the Kobo. Now we've had a tool to collect data. It is now ready for us to collect data. How can we collect data? By just clicking fill the form. The tool is available there. You can then see it how we want it. Personal information was the very first one. The second one was the name of the volunteer. We can then put any name. The other one was to identify our sex. The other one was to put the name of the village. Another one was to put our telephone number. Only number will appear, and then select the date of our birth. As I said again, you can change this to what you want. By starting to select the year, you can then push it to whatever year you want. Select a date, that's when I was born. If you want to put that, you think that was the when you born. And then here we get to select as much as we can. If we select other, the next question we're seeing, we get to see other, and then we submit. This is how with this demonstration, all 3 of our questions are now fully answered. Let me know what you think about the practical step we've just demonstrated together by leaving your comments below. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and like and turn on the notification bell. Till we meet again, Tata.